Welcome, everybody, to the Super Regular Thoughts Podcast. My name is Randy.
I'm Jamie.
And we have our very first official guest to the show. I want to welcome everyone to our first guest, Danine.
What's up?
Yeah.
It's good to be here.
Hell yeah.
And it's about to be lit. Hit the intro.
Right about now, I know y'all digging this, so just turn up. We about to bring it.
Check it out now.
Somebody in the house say hell yeah. Yeah.
Legit lit. Actually lit. So the topic for the day we're going to be talking about is drugs.
Yeah.
What you guys know about drugs?
Yeah, man.
And just full disclosure, I'm no expert. I don't work within the field of research studies, so this is all just experience.
Yeah.
Tight. And my disclosure is I'm very inexperienced with drugs, so I might be sharing stories of just me watching friends do drugs because I'm like, I know nothing, but
Hell yeah.
I'm interested in some of
Dude,
these
I
stories.
pop pills all day. Advil, Excedrin, fucking Aleve, Tylenol. Got you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I'm still learning, man. I'm infancy when it comes to drugs, man.
Dude, I'm naive as fuck.
Yeah. But go ahead, Danine. So what's up, man? So drugs.
Drugs. All right. Well, I wanted to share my experience, particularly with psychedelics. So that is considered.
Ooh.
Yeah. We're in the serious ones. So that is
Psychedelics.
that is considered one of the Schedule 1 drugs. You know, it's kind of like the big no-nos. There's a lot of controversial talks about this topic, but I wanted to share something to kind of enlighten other people that might be afraid to kind of because it's like commonly a taboo topic. And I wanted to share a little bit of history from my experience and also doing a little bit of research. So I don't know if y'all are familiar with this Netflix series. It's called Explained. So they have a part there where it's talking
Like a
about,
documentary kind of stuff?
yeah. So
Okay, yeah.
it's got like a 20-minute episode based where they talk about each episode is like a topic. So a couple of them are like about cults, about K-pop, and then they have this special one where it's called The Mind Explained.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's been pretty dope. And like an episode there is about psychedelics. So I'm using a lot of my sources from that show because it explains this topic in a very easy, digestible way. And also, I love the way that they explain it because they back it up with research. They have all these visual explanation of what things are, and also they use people's experience.
Okay.
Which is something I want to share with y'all now.
Okay.
Tight.
All right, so I did acid just a couple weeks ago. I went to this.
Damn, you made that sound so nonchalant. I did acid
It's
a couple
normal,
weeks
yeah.
ago.
That's what you do on some weekends. But yeah, it was actually my very first experience with this particular drug. So I've done mushrooms before, so it was a definitely different experience. I feel like acid for me, it was more potent. It was a little bit more extreme and a little bit longer. So imagine doing that and going to the Van Gogh immersive experience where you're just staring at art and experiencing this for the next 2 hours. And like you're already in a space where everything is all beautiful. Everything's you feel, you vibe with this place, and imagine being on acid where everything is more interconnected. So it's like about experience. It's more like volume is all the way up there.
For those who don't know, the Van Gogh experience is pretty much like an immersive art museum experience. It's like very 3D, like it's like all his artwork, but like 3D statues, paintings, everything.
Exactly.
Like that.
So it's like projected on a lot of statues, a lot of blank walls, and so it's a pretty dope experience. So if you're not, that's something that you want to check it out if you're they're in town until January.
Real quick, my bad. I don't mean to stop your story, but what did the acid look like?
Is it like a liquid?
Does it look does it look like the Listerine strips, right?
So that is one way that they you can take it that way, but the one that I took was in a form of what do you call it? It's like a Sour Patch. So it was
So it's
literally
like a gummy,
Sour
like
Patch.
you would just like chew it.
Yes. So I guess they mixed the LSD in it. They probably just kind of dripped it in there.
That's
and
wild.
yeah, it's literally, you can even mistake it for just like a random Sour Patch in your pocket.
I always thought that was a horrible name. Or why is it called acid? You know what I mean? Isn't that like a horrible name for a drug? Because acid is like, the shit that will burn you and like melt through. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like you're fucking melt your brain. Like,
good question. That's probably how it's kind of correlated. Like back, because there's the history of it is back. Actually, it was first synthesized back in World War II in Switzerland by this chemist called Albert Hofmann. So this happened. He was just like the first one to create this, and he experimented this on himself, so he doesn't even know like the right dose to kind of. So when he was tripping, he asked himself, "What is the purpose of this drug?" It's like, obviously, it's something very profound, but what is the purpose of it? So when they did a lot of research, they found out that it's actually the LSD molecule shape is a lot like the serotonin, the neurotransmitter that we find in our brain. So these are commonly found in other things like mushrooms or cactus. But this was like the first time that was synthesized. And I guess it's like, so, and the way that they create this is they would, just like you said, in that Listerine kind of like little paper, they would use that as a way to consume it. And it became popular in the 60s when this drug was given to researchers for free to try it out, to figure out what would be the use of it. And as the research happened, the 60s happened where pretty much people taking acid has been associated with the whole movement about the anti-Vietnam War, anti-Vietnam movement, and also it created a fear towards people. So the whole research had like a bad name.
Yeah.
So instead of kind of exploring what the health benefits of it, it became associated with this whole political thing that, they kind of cut down the funding, and it just kind of all these videos of the drug being seen as something that melts your brain, which I feel like, again, with the whole propaganda that they all share, kind of became like that whole bad name of acid, just like the way that you hear it. It's like, I don't want to do it. It's going to melt my brain.
There was legit commercials about that shit. It will melt your brain, bro. Like.
Exactly. So because like funding went down during that time and it was mostly propaganda, they were sharing to the public that this shit is not good for you. It's going to melt your brain. But recently when they funded more research about it, it's actually quite the opposite. There's no evidence that it fucks up with your brain or it messes up with your with people's pregnancy and all this. But anyway, so again, it was really more political controversy that put a bad name to this drug.
Yeah. So then so what made you want to do it when you were gonna go see the Van Gogh? Honestly,
it was very spontaneous at that time. I know for a long time that I wanted to try it. So personally, I wanted to do it for spiritual purpose. And I've done a little bit of research about it, just kind of like watching like the topic about it, like on the Netflix series, watching shows or reading articles about it. I was interested on the experience of it, but I just wasn't ready because from everything that I've read, if you're wanting to experience this, you need to have the right mindset, the right environment.
For sure.
Yeah, because you don't want to be fucking with this just because, it's not like just smoking weed or having a drink, that you just want to do it with wherever you're at and who you're with. Or this is like a trip that you want to do in a safe environment and you want to have good intentions. That makes the difference of your trip, of a good or bad. It's the intention.
So what happened that day that you went to go to the Van Gogh? Like how did that day start?
Dude, it was fun because first I cleared my day, so I had to make sure I wasn't carrying anything heavy. Like I didn't have like a task that I need to complete that would stress me out. I wanted to get into this journey in a very lighthearted and very again, like having that intention. Why do I want to do this? I kept asking myself that. that way I can be true to myself and also put a purpose for this journey. So yeah, I did it because I felt like I was in that time of my life where I'm ready to explore a little bit deeper with my spirituality and within myself. So I felt like when I was invited to go to this the Van Gogh immersive experience, I thought like, oh crap, this would be like the perfect time to do it. And I would be hanging out with the homies that I feel I would be safe with. So yeah, I definitely did that. I definitely
Did all your homies drop some acid as well?
I did it with one homie, and the other one was our guide. So
Gotcha.
you gotta
You
make
gotta have
sure
a
that
guide.
you have
Hell
to have a
yeah.
guide for sure.
Especially in public.
Hey, shout out to all the freaking designated drivers, all the ones
Yes.
that take one for the team, man. Seriously.
Y'all are the real heroes here.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, definitely, if you want to do that, always be in a safe space and have a guide. And by a guide, meaning a person that you trust who will provide your needs when you're going through all this stuff. So this has actually that's how it's been done in the past, where that's why we have like shamans, or you would have doctors who would guide you.
Oh, okay, that
So
makes
they
sense.
would, so they could provide that safe space for you to while you're going through this journey. Because again, you don't want to just be doing that in the middle of the nowhere, and you'll feel like you're not safe, and that's where the bad trip starts.
Did it hit like right away, like when you?
Oh yeah. So I
Okay.
feel like
Oh shit. Okay.
As soon as
So
it touches the lips.
It touches the lips.
so I was actually advised to eat first. So
Uh-huh.
that's what we did. We had dinner, and then right after I finished dinner, that's when I took my dose.
Dessert.
Yes, that is a tiny little Sour Patch, perfect dessert.
Yeah.
So like 30 minutes in, that's when I started feeling things, when I'm like very light sensitive, because when we were driving to the venue, we were going through the
Oh,
through the
so
city.
you were already on it before you even got
Yeah,
to
man.
the thing. Oh,
I
shit.
took it after I finished my dinner right at the restaurant before we even paid.
Damn.
I was like, I'm ready.
You're brave.
Dude, I know,
Yes.
man.
Because
Shit.
actually your peak hits after 2 hours. So I figured,
Does
okay.
it just get absorbed, or does it have to metabolize like if you were to take like a weed edible?
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty much similar to that. Yeah,
Oh,
you have
so
to
it had to.
metabolize a little
Oh,
bit.
got it.
So it started off as mild. You're very light. I was very light sensitive. I remember when I was when we were driving, when I look at the street lights, or it's kind of like when you wear one of those glasses that it kind of like refracts whenever you stare
Oh,
at
yeah,
light.
yeah.
So that's how it looked like. So I was already like tripping, and I felt like I was in Mario Kart. I was like on Rainbow Land, or that
Oh
one,
shit.
that one
Okay,
map.
Rainbow Road.
That's tight.
Rainbow
Yeah,
Road,
yeah,
there you
yeah.
go.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, when we got there, it's immediately, of course, when you look at all the art pieces, all the exhibits, it's like, in my head, I was like, is this part of the exhibit, or is this all in my head?
Oh shit.
For real.
Yeah.
That was one of the questions I thought about when you mentioned the Van Gogh exhibit was, have you ever seen it sober?
No, so
Yeah, because I feel like I've only seen clips of it. I have
Yeah.
yet to go to it yet. I think I'm gonna go in January, but
yes, check it out.
I feel like it's trippy to begin with
In general, yeah.
normally. So,
So you got extra tripped.
Exit trip. So this whole time I was just like, oh my god, is this part of the animation, or is this all happening in my head? So initially there was like that unfamiliar, very new feeling that immediately it's a little bit scary, but I also noticed that I was able to ground myself, like, okay, I was aware that I'm tripping, that I am, that everything was no longer stagnant. So everywhere you look, it's like everything's all moving, and you're another way that other people who experience this describe, it's kind of like everything is breathing. You feel all the vibration of the universe. So it's kind of like you're connected
Damn.
with the world that it's always been there, but it's just you haven't accessed it, because when you're sober, it's kind of like you don't have all these patterns opened yet, so you don't see them, but they're there. So it's kind of like this whole time it made me think about like Avatar, The Last Airbender, whenever he's in the spirit world, or even like on was that Marvel movie, like Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
So you know when they do all those fancy moves and you get all these geographical patterns all over.
Yeah.
I saw that shit like the
Oh,
whole time.
shit.
And yeah, it's kind of like you're put in this. The whole time I was just like in this. I remember telling myself, or even writing about it, where I felt like I was such, I had such a presence, or I was so into the present that I was experience everything simultaneously, like from beginning to end. I remember the trippiest part was when I would look at like something within nature, like a flower, like a mushroom, a plant. I could see it throbbing. I could see it breathing. I saw like a leaf, like bloom to life and die, all in just like one blink. So it was like, it was a trip.
Wait, but was that in your head or was that real or?
I mean, yeah, and like the flower, was that part of the painting or?
That's a good question. That was like the ongoing. However,
that flower got pollinated and shit.
I was like, this is such a good animation. I'm like, damn.
And it turns out it's just all a stand photo. Like it's.
However, after I left the exhibit, though, that was tested with actual nature outside, and it was still throbbing.
Oh shit! Okay.
So I was like, okay, that was confirmed that this is not just the all the exhibits inside. It's actually happening in my head.
Damn.
You know, on top of all the visuals that you're having, do you feel anything in your body as well? Like when you're high, you know, kind of like
absolutely.
Like what was that feeling like?
Definitely, my body was very tingly. It's almost like. It's both relaxed and also in that when you're extra hyper on caffeine, I was like that all at the same time. It's just kind of like, okay, like you're floating, you're aware, but you're also bringing yourself back in that moment. So it's a constant push and pull. So my body was just like excited for this whole new experience, but also relaxed because I'm like, I feel everything that I'm not afraid of anything. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did was there like did you feel like heavy or anything, or you just felt like light?
Very light for sure. Like definitely when we sit down, when I just chill like on the rugs or on the chair, you feel that heavy feeling that you're just like almost sinking and melting on the ground. I remember I'm like on the feeling the carpets on the floor. It's like I feel like I'm growing or my roots starting kind of like digging into the carpet where I'm part of the carpet. So I remember saying something like, dude, I just want to be the rug. So something like that. You know?
Damn.
Yeah.
How long did that last for? Like how long was the high?
So I was actually, I took the whole dose. So my friend was wise enough to only take half of it. So I believe they were able to go to work the next day.
Damn.
So mine for that whole
The next
dose.
The next day. Oh, I know.
I
Shit.
was like, hold up.
Dude.
Damn. If
Yeah.
it, lasts more than 2 hours, you got to see your physician.
So mine lasted about 10 hours. Yeah.
10 hours.
10 hours. Oh,
that
man.
sounds terrible.
That sounds like, I know. Damn. I don't even like working for 10 hours. God
Dude,
damn.
10 hours.
But it felt longer than that.
So what did you do to, because how long is the exhibit? Or like, is it just an X amount of time or something? Or
Yes. So it was about 2 hours long.
Okay.
So our
so
thing
you
was
had
like
8 more hours.
Yes.
So did you
after-
wake up high?
No. I was actually cleared after that. But I remember going to bed high. Yeah. Because I remember I was still tripping at like 4 a.m. So that's when I'm like, okay, I'm not going to work. But that whole time I was just like, I remember when they took me home, I felt like a kid, like when I got home, like, when you're just in your living room and you're playing the lava on the floor and you're just hopping onto couches. That was exactly what I was doing. And I was
By yourself?
by myself.
Damn, you should have, dude. You should have set up a camera and just record yourself.
I did.
Oh shit! Hell yeah.
Because I wanted to, again, like study myself of how I wanted to kind of document this to see if it matches with my experience of how I recall it and how I look like when I was experiencing it. But yeah, I just remember that whole time I was just listening to music, staring at trippy things you can find on YouTube, like all those patterns.
Yeah.
And
I just imagine like a freaking kaleidoscope background. Like you're just that's just going the whole entire time.
Did you already review
Exactly.
that footage from that night?
Not yet.
I was like, how trippy would it be? You watch it and the floor is lava.
I know.
You're like, hold up.
Where am I at?
Different dimension.
Oh, dude. If you know, because I live in a very old apartment too. So coming
Hella
home
scary.
already to that place, it felt like, I don't know, like a clown house. Like everything was just like animating. And anyway, so I was experiencing my apartment in a whole new other way. So I remember I was practicing like some stances for martial arts, pretending I was like Doctor Strange, just kind of like, oh, maybe I can like access like another realm. Or
damn, you about to let a demon in this world by mistake? Fucking around. Fucking.
Oh man, but yeah, it's pretty fun. So I would say it was like a very life-changing experience. Because like by then I remember thinking about, okay, I remember reading about how these experiences kind of help clear your mindset, where it helps you kind of change your narrative in life. So in other words, it's like it helps people with like if you have cigarette addiction, if you have some sort of chronic anxiety, and when people do this stuff, it's kind of it again, if you put the purpose, if you have the intention of using this to help you with something like that, it definitely changes your mind. Because when I took this, it allowed me to get to know myself in a deeper level. I remember there's another person describing it. It's like another form of meditation. So when you meditate, you get good at it the more you practice it. And when you take this, it's almost like a crash course of meditation, because it allows you to really dig deep into yourself.
Levitation.
Levitation. Exactly. So yeah, it was life-changing for me, because it allowed me to kind of refresh, like, what is my purpose in life? What am I stressing about? What are my needs? What do I lack? Everything, all that question like didn't matter anymore. It's kind of like I just didn't care. I just wanted to I like this moment. So every time I find myself having all these like negative thoughts, when I feel myself being anxious, I just jump back to that experience, and I'm like, oh, I feel great now. It's kind of like, what am I stressing about this shit? This is in the future, or this is in the past. It just allows me to put myself in that present. So that's why I value this. That's what I took from that experience.
That's what's up. That's interesting when you started describing kind of like a new outlook on life, or just kind of that reset button. I had an experience very similar, multiple experiences, but they don't involve drugs. They involve near-death experiences,
Yes.
right? So it's just like, I remember one time riding a motorcycle with a buddy down to San Francisco and almost crashing on Highway 1 and falling off to my death. And then I remember coming back from that and then thinking like, everything that I was worrying about before is just like, there's no time in life to worry. And it's just like, and all those things that I was hesitant to do, I just went out and did it, like no fear kind of thing. So it's just like, I wonder, I mean, those are two different things, but I'm like, I wonder in some sort of capacity, is acid giving you like a near-death experience? No, I don't know.
It did feel like that at some parts of the trips, for sure.
You open some chakra points. Man.
I feel like they do have like a similar kind of way of, like I said, like reset, giving you that reset button of looking at the things in a different perspective.
For sure.
Was that like the hardest thing you've ever done, like drug-wise?
Definitely the most intense. I've had like bad trips before, for sure. That wasn't, so.
My drugs experiences have always been bad, dude. Like,
That's
no.
like,
fuck, dude. Like, I felt like I was in a Drake song. Just fucking, this bitch left me. But I'm all single already. I'm like,
just smelling your lotion that you put on. Like, damn.
God damn it. No, I've always had bad highs, man. Or when it came to weed or something. Like, okay, so like, I haven't really done anything like hard. I meant like, weed's like the main thing, edibles and shit like that. I think we talked about this before. I've done coke adjacent, like
Coke
it's
adjacent.
yeah, bro. Like that's about it. But it's weed has always just been it. And like I've had good ones and I've had bad ones. I've had more good ones more recently. I think it's because the people I'm smoking with, or whatever. But it's always been like hella bad trip. I get depressed and sad.
Damn, that sucks.
Right? Then they're like, damn, you're having a bad high. And I was like, I want to feel this way. And I was like trying to go to
I'm
bed.
trying to get away from this feeling.
Man, doing drugs have always like, it hasn't been a taboo, but it's just like, I was like, oh, I can't do this shit because fucking worst. My first smoking experience, worst one ever. I think it was like my freshman year in high school. And my cousin, fucking, he's the one that got the weed. And we're dumb. Like, we're still trying to learn, right? You know, or something. We didn't have any rolling papers. So we used, like, our composition Vocalide paper. Yeah, bro. And then, you know, and we were about to have a family party, right? You know, like, I ordered, like, 4 or 5 pizzas, you know. And, you know, so we rolled that shit up. And then it's just me and him. So we're smoking first. And then, you know, we Febreze to try to make herself smell cool, but his dad came out of nowhere, and then he was the first one there, and he was just like, "What the hell's that smell?" He got hella pissed, and my cousin's dumbass, he goes, "Jamie's the one that bought it," and I was like, "The fuck?" I was like, "You motherfuckers!" And after that, I was just like, "This bitch." I was like, "So weed, like drugs in general, just have been bad experiences for me, man."
Dang, I didn't start smoking weed or eating edibles until I was like in my mid 30s, or fairly recent, or probably in my 30s. That's when I started doing it. But a lot of my friends did it in the past. And I remember in high school, I think it was my senior year, I remember sitting in the computer lab, and this guy comes up and he goes, "Hey, you smoke weed?" And I was like, "Nah." I was like, and he goes, "You're lying, man. You look like you smoke weed." And I said, honestly, I was like, "I honestly have never even seen weed." He goes, "Give me your hand." And I was like, "Why?" And we're like in the computer lab in high school. He's like, "Just give me your hand." And he puts his hand, and I feel like a plastic bag in my hand, and I'm holding it. He's like, "You feel that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, and he takes it back and he goes, "You just held weed." And I was like, dude, it felt like I held a fucking plastic bag. I was like, that means nothing to me, dude. But like, that was like my closest experience with the weed in high school. And I remember also like even going into college, I had a couple of friends that would do ecstasy, and I'd see them like rolling and doing all this stuff, and I never got into it. But I remember throwing a New Year's party one year, and my buddy was like super into ecstasy. So he goes into the bathroom, drops one, comes back out, and I'm like, "How you feeling, man?" He goes, I don't feel shit. I think I'm gonna drop another one." I said, "You should probably give it some time." He goes, no, I think I'm gonna drop another one. So he goes in. He's the only one dropping E at this entire party, right? Everyone's just chilling. And I only had one bathroom, studio apartment in Belltown, right? And then all of a sudden, these girls are like, "Hey, who's in the bathroom? I've been needing to pee." And I'm like looking around, and I was like, "Oh shoot, I don't want to say my homie's name, but I'm just like, is he still in the bathroom? He went in there like a long time ago." We're like, "Hey man, are you okay? Are you okay?" And then we start knocking on the door, and we're like, "Oh no, did this motherfucker die?" Right? So we're all super worried. And then he finally opens the door and he goes, "What's going on?" And when he walks out, one eye is like caca, like all the way on the inside, and this other eye is facing straight. And we're like, "Dude, what's wrong with your eye?" And he goes, "Why? What's wrong with my eye?" And we're like, "Can you see?" He goes, "Yeah, I can see." And the whole time his eye is just like looking inward, and we're like, "Well, I guess if he can see, he's fine." And the entire night he would just be by himself, just doing that thing with his biting his I'm like we went out to the roof to look at the watch the fireworks. Yeah. So I was a few blocks from the Space Needle, and that fool was just in the corner doing his own thing. And then we eventually make it back to the inside of my apartment, and I just remember everyone's just chilling, and then all the lights are kind of turned down, and then I look around and I'm like, "Oh, let me make sure the homie's cool." And then I just see this fool with his super erect back sitting kneeling on the ground, and then I see my other friend. They don't know each other. I didn't introduce them, and I see my other friend. I guess he asked someone "Hey, what's wrong with this dude?" And he goes, "Oh, he dropped E." And then my friend just has one of those a blue LED, and he if this was his face, he just took the LED and he was just doing this. Damn. And then he starts doing this. And I mean, I'm familiar with the light shows, but this fool was just doing random ass shit. And then my buddy's just sitting on the floor with his mouth wide open and his eyes still facing one way. And he's just just loving it. I remember the next day he goes, "Yo, who was your friend? He was so good with the LEDs." And I'm like, "He's not good. And you are high as fuck." I'm surprised your eye made it back looking normal. What the hell?
Wow.
I did this past 420, right? I freaking was with my significant other. or not significant other. I don't know. Maybe it was. I'm not gonna drop names. You know.
Okay, I was like, what? What are you trying to say? I was like, what?
My side chick.
It was just someone.
Someone. It was
Okay,
someone. Yeah. It was like, and we tried edibles. We were doing edibles. You know, it's 420, but we were being stupid. I was like, we'll celebrate. We made like
Celebrating.
we made hella bomb ass food, like fucking mayonnaise, shrimp. You know.
I thought you were gonna say mayonnaise peanut butter.
Oh yeah.
I was like, this motherfucker.
And you know, we had some edibles with my cousins. The one who snitched on me, again,
From back in the day.
From back in the day, you know, and he gave some edibles, and him and his girl, they're like, "Oh, this shit's weak. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. You'll be fine." I'm like, whatever. So we took one. And I was like, I don't feel shit. And then we started smoking a blunt too. I was like, I don't feel shit. And they're like, yeah, you'll be fine. They're like, you can take a couple puffs. And I was cool. And then the moment, like 30 minutes later, I fucking everything hit. I was sitting on the couch, and like we were all done, and the food's done cooking. I was like, yeah, that's cool. Everybody done eating. You can go home now if you want to. And like, yeah, and so everybody left, and then me and homegirl was like all tripping out. And we were getting hella paranoid, and she was like, "It is two paranoid people trying to calm each other down." It was the worst. And then we were like, "All right, let's watch a Disney movie. A Disney movie will make us feel better." We fucking put on Coco, and it was like,
"Oh my goodness!"
And I was like, "Oh shit, am I watching about death right now? This shit's real." Oh my god! So I stayed up that whole night just to make sure that she was cool, and then I felt like I was still high till the next day, man, and that was the worst. Man. So fuck edibles. I'm never doing edibles.
Does it always put you like in the existential crisis mode?
I don't know. I really don't. I feel like what edibles and weed has to do with your fat content. So I just feel like because I'm hella fat, it just made me extra high and paranoid at the same time, bro. Like it's like,
was the edible chocolate that you ate?
It was like a caramel chocolate turtle or some
shit. Dude, so what I learned from the people that work at the dispensaries are, even though you have like an edible that has chocolate and an edible that's like a gummy, even though they have the same THC content, THC bonds to chocolate more. So even though it's the same
like amount
milligram content, the chocolate is going to blast you super hard. So I stay away from the chocolate because my homie's neighbor grows and he makes his own butter and everything, and he made these brownies. And then my buddy's like, "Yo, this is way too outrageous. You should take some."
Yeah.
And I said, "All right, I'll take a little bit." And he invited me to go to like this birthday dinner because he didn't want to go alone. I didn't know the person. I said, "All right, well, I'm gonna eat a little bit of this brownie." So I ate a little bit of the brownie, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm feeling good." And then we get to the restaurant, and then we order the food, and I'm like, "Yo, this food tastes hella good." And me and him are just like, you know, the entire restaurant is the party. Me and him are at our own table, and we're just fucking laughing and eating. And I'm like, man, I'm feeling pretty good. And the thing is, we were supposed to shoot a video project for a client that next morning. So I'm like, hey, we should probably head home. But I was feeling so good, but I never really got like high. So I was like, so he drops me home, and I'm thinking like, man, I'm feeling pretty good. And that didn't do nothing to me. I'm like, it made stuff funny. I didn't get really a body high, and it made the food taste good. I'm gonna eat a little bit more of this brownie, so I ate some more of that brownie, and that was the wrong move because I ate so much food at that restaurant. That brownie was chilling, and it didn't metabolize until the morning. So I ended up waking up with the spins. I woke up because I started spinning, and I woke up and I was like, "What is going on?" And I remember standing up in my apartment and getting off the couch, and like the spins were so bad I couldn't catch my balance, and I like stumbled across the entire apartment, and I fell into the fireplace, and I'm like, oh my god. And I look at the time, and I'm like, oh no, we gotta leave in like 30 minutes. So I call my homie up, and I'm like, I said, yo, take your time getting here because I'm high as fuck right now. And then he goes, and I told him, I said, I didn't really feel it when I got home last night. I took some more of the brownie. And he goes, yo, I took more of the brownie when I went home too. He goes, I'm still in bed. And I said, yo, we got to be there in 30 minutes and you still haven't picked me up. And he goes, I'll be there. And I'm thinking like, oh my God. I'm like, this is the first time working with this particular client also. And I'm like, man, we gotta sober up. So like I think the adrenaline or the pressure of having to deliver And given it wasn't like a paying gig, but it was our first gig because me and him were trying to like start a video production company, and we're like all right, we gotta do it proper if we're gonna do it the first time. So I remember kind of like running it and doing all this stuff, and then like I noticed like my homie wasn't really like shooting a lot of video, and I'm thinking like we're supposed to be getting multiple angles. I said, "Hey yo man, what are you doing?" And he goes, "I'm so high right." I said, "You need to cut that shit out." And I was like, "I don't care how high you are right now. You need to start working. Like we gotta do this." And it was the longest shoot. I think we shot for like 12 hours that day. And I'm just like,
damn.
I was like, screw homemade edibles.
Yeah.
And just like random ass measuring.
It's
and like,
always the homemade shit.
yeah, it's I feel like you just like start going and then you just like blast and then you just keep going in outer space and you're just like you never come down. Like what the hell?
Yeah. I think my last homemade edible experience was like back in high school. So, we're just kids. We literally, because I think usually people would use like trim to make butter. But, as kids, we don't know what we're doing. We use the flour to use the butter. So it's even more potent than it should be. So, we're just kind of like Googling things of how to make this and that. So we made a brownie as well. So I took one home, and at the time I was living somewhere like in White Center, and my friend was living in SeaTac, so that's where we made the brownies. So when I got home, I took my brownie, and that was like when I had like that really almost like existential crisis kind of feeling. So it was like so strong that I didn't know how to react to it, or I didn't know what to think. So that night, I think I was like around midnight. I'm just like, I don't know what to do. So I'm going to go walk to my friend's house. So I walked from like White Center to SeaTac, and I was just like high on edibles, just thinking about my life. I remember being so sad for, I don't know, reasons. I was like having like that Nelly video, just walking from White Center.
Over and over again.
Exactly. Just on my iPod, just kind of like, just let me get here, but
Dude,
I don't fuck with homemade.
Yeah, fuck
edibles
homemade
no more.
shit. My first ever experience homemade shit was, again, shout out to the homie Alan, his fucking wedding, man. that whole experience, one of the fams, had some caramels that were homemade, but I didn't know they were fucking homemade. I mean, I should have known. It was fucking wrapped in aluminum foil. I like no, and it was cool because we were all hella hype in the beginning, and the moment I took a bite of that shit, the thing just went pew down. I was just like, fuck, and like the room was spinning.
That was the first time you had an edible?
Oh yeah, and it was a homemade one too, and I was like,
hell no,
yeah,
hell no.
Yeah, and I had the peach bites too, like that I bought from store, and those are bomb, it was just like a hard candy, and that put me on the whole night, but freaking that homemade caramel shit, man, that shit fucked me up. Hey, but the wedding, we pulled it off. It was cool,
dude.
Nobody knew.
I remember I was asked her like, you want some of this? And I was like, I looked down and I was like, what is that? And I'm like, hell no, man, I gotta work right now.
Yeah,
I'm like, nah.
Yeah,
but
it was the after party, and that fucking edible. Because everybody was all hype, and then everybody who took it, they all just went down and got depressed.
And
just they're like, and so Randy was like parking cars or like loading up the cars. He comes in the room, and everybody's just all chilling on the couch all day. And he was like, he goes, I'm gonna go.
I was like, peace, everybody. I thought this was the after party, man. Never mind, I'm gonna go home and sleep.
Yeah, man. Fucking drugs.
Drugs. There was one time in that span of like my 20s where I didn't like do anything. I remember my friend's roommate came over and she was chilling and she goes, "Oh, are you cool if I smoke some meth?" And at the time I didn't even know what meth was, right? I didn't know how bad it was, and I'm like, I guess so. I'm like, I don't give a shit because like I didn't know how bad it was.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I've never seen it before. And she goes, do you want to smoke? I said, no. I was like, what? So I'm asking her all these questions like, hey, what does it feel like? And And she goes, you don't really feel anything really. And I'm like, all right. I was like, what does it look like? So she has like this the plastic pipe. Have you guys seen meth?
Yeah, it's from
Not in real
Breaking
life.
Bad.
Yeah, Breaking Bad.
What does it look like in Breaking Bad?
It looks like glass can or like
Yeah.
hard
Like
Like those
crystals?
rock
crystal hard
candy.
candy.
Okay, so yeah, that's
Yeah.
what it looked like. I haven't watched Breaking Bad, but essentially she puts in this pipe, and then and it looks like large like salt granules kind of
Yeah.
thing,
Mm.
and she like lights it up, and it turns into a liquid, and she's like rolling it around, and then she like inhales and like blows out smoke and stuff, and I was like, all right, I guess that's interesting, and I was like, whatever. So we're chilling, and then and I'm like, so what are you feeling? And she goes, she's like, I feel like I need to clean. And I was like, what? So she starts cleaning my apartment, and I'm like, so is that all you do? And I'm like, is that all you feel? You just have the urge to clean? She goes, yeah. Every time I need to get something done, I usually smoke some meth, and I just clean. She's like, that's just what I do. And I'm thinking like, and eventually she leaves, and my place is all clean, and I'm like, that's a whack ass drug. I was like, all you're gonna do is clean.
Yeah,
I'm like,
man.
there was like no other feel. I mean, she might be feeling some other stuff, but
Yeah.
I was like hell no. I'm like,
She wasn't messing around.
you're holding that one.
I was waiting, dude.
You're like, when you get bring up the meth story,
Yeah,
don't you?
bring it up. Yeah, man, shit.
Shit.
Damn, meth and heroin. That's the only ones I can't see
I mean-
myself, or I shouldn't fuck with. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean anybody.
shouldn't.
I shouldn't.
I don't
But
think anyone should be fucking with
that
shit.
shit's great because that shit's just like chemicals. Like I feel like
I mean, all of it's chemicals, man.
Yeah, but this one like you do an actual science experiment in the lab. You know what I mean? Like
I mean, it's just,
weed, you have to you have to like plant it, love it, and shit. Over there, you're just putting shit in beakers and fucking with it.
yeah, I guess so. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
So if it's not like something organic, you won't fuck with it.
I don't think so. Yeah. Well, that's a lie too, because Coke's organic technically. I mean, like,
I've never seen Coke in real life, man.
well, I have. I mean, it's Coke. I think I did was
Open
Coke.
your hand.
Yeah, over here. I got you,
Open your
bro.
hand. You've held Coke now.
It's
like
white.
that.
It's white. So okay, if I'm not
baking soda.
mistaken, it's baking soda, like the consistency. If you get like the hard shit, that's crack.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
that's
saying?
not
Like it's like a
pure.
rock. That's the shit that
I mean,
the-
I always hear like the jokes and the names and in songs, but it's like I've
Yeah.
never.
like
I've
crack
never actually
cocaine
seen
is
this.
the shit that's like Coke. Like you need Coke to make crack, which is like baking soda and I'm sure other shit. I don't know. Fucking Sprite, Coca-Cola. I don't know what the fuck. And that's the shit that it's fucking crazy. Like crack, I guess, would be considered in the fucking heroin and meth group. You know?
I mean, anytime you say crack, I think butt.
But yeah, yeah.
Sniffing that crack.
Cocaine is supposed to be like just makes you, I don't know, happy or not happy, but like fucking
It's like hyper.
energized. Yeah,
I hear the restaurant industry, there's a lot of Coke
usage.
like usage, like especially
can
with
see that.
service. Like I've never worked in the serving industry, but I remember, me and my buddy would frequent this restaurant like once a week, and there was this server that I thought was pretty cute, and then my buddy goes, "Oh, she probably just did some Coke," and I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, a lot of server," and I heard that from a lot of people. They're like, "Yeah, a lot of servers do Coke because just to get through that shift because it's so hard." And then he goes, and I'm like, "How can you tell?" And he goes, I could just kind of tell. So I started like watching this server like kind of like work and kind of seeing her, like when we first got there, she's regular, but then now I can see like all the fidgeting, like her foot as she's waiting for people to go, and the kind of like moving the tongue around on the lips, and then just just all the fidgety stuff. And I was just like, oh, I was like, probably. I was like, it's interesting
Yeah.
how you can kind of spot those things.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy how like a lot of professions are very common for all these usage. So I know I've talked with a friend how even with among like attorneys, it's like very common for them to be using Coke, or they tend to be like alcoholics just because of the demand of their jobs. I have like an aunt who's a doctor as well, that like a lot of her colleagues tend to be like very alcoholics or cigarette smokers,
sure.
or they have like that type of vice to kind of like get them through, I guess, like the demands of their profession is like from what you're saying, like within the industry, there's
Yeah.
there's that pattern and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely see that alcohol flow within the medical field.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like whenever there's
Hopefully not at work though.
no.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I think it's as soon as
they get off.
they're out of that position where they don't have to be responsible for anything at a moment. They just kind of like let loose. And it's kind of fun to be around them when they're like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, try partying with like a bunch of nurses. They know how to party. They know how to drink.
Well, shoot,
Yeah, man.
do drugs. No, shit.
Do your research.
Yeah. Disclaimer: we're not promoting or not promoting drugs. I'm just saying. We're just saying. Be smart. Be responsible.
Be
Absolutely.
responsible.
Do your research,
Yeah.
and if again, do it with a purpose. If you
Hell
are
yeah.
to try this out, don't just take our word from it, or because you saw it from a show. So that's not the point.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
be intentional if you're doing
Yeah.
if you're open to exploring things.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
So, well, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Man.
Tuning
Hey,
in.
Danine.
Danine,
Fuck yeah,
Thank
man.
you,
Thank you, dude.
first
It's
official,
fun.
Guest, man.
first official
This is hella
guest.
fun.
Yeah. We'd like to say thank you for coming out here.
I love it.
I feel like that one was off the top. You weren't pulling that one.
Yeah, I got that one right there.
That's what's
Bang,
up. That's
bang.
up. Tight. Well, have a good evening, everybody, or morning, or whenever you're listening to this. And
Thank
we'll
you, everyone.
catch you on the next episode.
Peace.
Peace.